Since the trilogy between Alexander Volkanovski and Max Holloway, there's been an opening for a new #1 contender in the featherweight division. With Max not getting a title shot anytime soon, the guys in the top 5 have the perfect opportunity to swoop in. So far, we've got 2 guys at the doorsteps, the veteran Josh Emmett and the slick rising star Yair Rodriguez, arguing that he should get the shot first. Let's see what he has to say. First up, the controversy in the Brian Ortega fight. One of the most highly anticipated matchups in the featherweight division occurred last month when 2 friends, teammates, and top 5 contenders, Brian Ortega and Yair Rodriguez, were scheduled to fight. The fight was supposed to be exciting, as both guys have highly aggressive styles and have been in some absolute wars. Both guys respected the game of their fellow Mexican and knew that they were only fighting each other because a title shot was on the line. The fight was action-packed for as long as it lasted. T-City got the takedown, and Yair tried throwing submissions from his guard. The Brazilian Jiu-Jitsu black belt Brian Ortega thought he was safe from the armbar attempt, and it didn't look very tight either. As he was trying to escape, Ortega popped his shoulder, and the fight was stopped immediately. It was declared a win for Rodriguez by TKO, but a fight that ends like that doesn't hold a lot of value. Many people thought it should have been declared a no contest because it was due to an accidental injury. Yair argued that he had attempted an armbar, which led to Ortega trying to escape and popping his shoulder as a result. It was a win for Rodriguez, but it didn't help his momentum. Next up, Volkanovski is moving up. Following his win against Max, the consensus greatest featherweight of all time called his shot at the lightweight title and said he wants an opportunity to become a double champion. If there's anyone who deserves to go up a weight class and fight for another belt, it's Alex. The champ has been super active over the last few years, putting on dominant performances and Fight of the Year candidates. Volkanovski vowed to keep both divisions busy after becoming a double champ. The only other fighter ever to do that is Amanda Nunes. As active as Alex would like it to be, it would still slow down the matchups at the top level in the featherweight division. The vacant title fight will take place in October, which means he'll fight the winner in the first quarter of 2023, and the featherweight belt won't be defended until June or July of next year. That's got to be disappointing to hear for both Emmett and Rodriguez. Now for the big news, Yair Rodriguez only wants Alexander Volkanovski next. El Pantera made a statement after returning to the octagon after 2 years by putting up a great fight against Max Holloway. Since then, people have been wondering how well he'd do against the champ. There certainly have been a lot of improvements in his game, and it's the fight every fan would like to see. There's only one problem that we talked about earlier, and that's Volk's quest for 2 belts. Many fans thought now would be the perfect time for the UFC to introduce an interim title fight between Rodriguez and Emmett to decide who gets to fight for the undisputed belt. Even if there's no interim title on the line, it makes perfect sense for the 2 of them to fight it out so that there are no arguments left as to who's next. Knowing Volk, he would have taken on both of them one by one if he wasn't looking to go up. Yair did several interviews in which he made it clear that he only wants to fight the champ next and that he's earned it. Before the Brian Ortega fight happened, the UFC had guaranteed him that he'd get the title shot if he beat Ortega, which he technically did, no matter what the fans think. Speaking about the timeline, Rodriguez said that he doesn't want the champ to rush at all. If Alex wants to go up and fight for the lightweight title, he'll wait for him to be back and then fight him. That certainly doesn't seem like a smart approach, especially considering the amount of time it'll take for Volk to get back. Emmett could win another fight, or some other guy in the top 10 can get a big win and pass him as the rightful #1 contender. When Dana White was asked about Yair's statement, he had a similar reaction. He said he doesn't like guys who wait around. Yair was out for 2 years before fighting Max Holloway for unknown reasons. He was scheduled to fight Zabit a number of times, and the winner of that fight would have fought for the title. Since then, Zabit has retired, and Yair came back from his long layoff and has had 2 fights since then. For a guy who's already lost 2 years of his prime, it doesn't make sense for him to be inactive again. Up next, Yair is mad at the champ. Yair made an appearance on the MMA Hour where he was asked about his frustrations over the way the last fight went down and what the fans have been saying. Rodriguez says that it's the story of his entire career. People have always speculated whether he won by accident or luck. He believes he is lucky, but he puts in the work and makes it happen for himself. Speaking about the champ, Yair was disappointed that Alex decided to face the Korean Zombie when the Max Holloway fight fell through in 2022. Rodriguez was also in the top 5, and he also had a win over Zombie. You remember that KO, right? Yair thought he should have gotten the shot then, and now after coming off a win, he certainly deserves a title shot shot as it was promised to him. Stylistically, he thinks that he might present a lot of problems for the champ. In the Max fight, he showed that he can strike with anyone. Style makes fights, and he's confident about this one. Yair also discussed the reason for waiting out was that there's no one else that makes sense. He's fought everyone else in the top 5 at some point. He certainly makes a good argument. Let's hope he gets his title shot soon. Other related news. First up, Dominick Cruz takes on Marlon Vera. Big bantamweight main event coming up next week, folks. It's 2 guys in the top 10, and the winner will probably crack the top 5. The former 2-time bantamweight champion, and arguably the greatest bantamweight of all time, Dominick Cruz, is taking on Marlon Chito Vera in a 5-round main event. Cruz wants to prove that he still got it by getting to another title fight. Chito, on the other hand, wants to fulfill his lifelong dream of becoming a UFC champion. It's one of those fights that doesn't need any build-up or trash talking. Both their styles are incredible, and it'll be interesting to see how the fight plays out. Cruz would be looking to use his legendary footwork to outclass Vera, and Marlon would try to look for the kill any chance that he gets. Both are very technical on the feet, but they're also very well-rounded, so we might see some high-level grappling exchanges. It should be noted that Dominick has never lost a non-title fight in his career. Even at his age, he's not an easy task for anyone. It goes down on August 13th. Can't wait for this one. Next up, Dana White talks about the Jake Paul event getting scrapped. It's been all over the news that the well-anticipated boxing match between Jake Paul and Hasim Rahman Jr. was canceled due to Hasim not being on weight. Many people thought it was strange that they decided to scrap the event in advance. They should have at least waited until the final weigh-in. This was the first time Jake was fighting a guy who was a legitimate boxer. It would have been really fun to see how he'd do against a high-level guy who's been in there before. Dana White was asked about this, and he said it was probably because they didn't sell enough tickets to make the event happen. He also advised Paul to work with a proper event management team, saying, "If you were an accountant here, doesn't necessarily mean you know what's going on here." This was a shot at a former UFC employee who works with Paul and arranges the fight. And finally, Sam Alvey has a new record. It's a record no one wants to have. Sam Alvey is now on an 8-fight losing streak, which is the longest in UFC history. He just beat BJ Penn's record and now sits alone at the top with 8 consecutive losses. Most people think that this was his last UFC appearance, as his contract is also up, and it was the last fight there. It doesn't make sense for the UFC to re-sign him at this point. Before the fight, he was looking forward to proving everyone wrong by making a statement and getting another contract. Things didn't end the way he wanted, so he decided to hang it up. Hopefully, he's set financially and doesn't have to fight again. That's a wrap for this video. Do you think Yair should take another fight while the champ moves up? Let us know in the comments below. Make sure to give this video a thumbs up and subscribe to our channel for more videos like this. See you in the next one.